Oh, hello. I'm early. That's okay. I like to start the stream a little bit early just to make sure that I have all my screens set up appropriately. Just to make sure that everybody can see what I can see. We won't start any work until the top of the hour, but I do like to start a couple minutes early and just make sure that things are going according to plan and that my screens are showing. I have my monitors set up in such a way that if I want to see my recording software, I have to look over to the side, but I'll be working straight ahead of me. So it's like living in multiple dimensions, which is fun. There's already a comment from the tubes, only CI or CD or both. Mostly CI today. We're not really going to do any deployments, but that could maybe be a later stream. We're mostly just not deploying because my applications don't need to be deployed. We're mostly just going to do some exploration. It's the top of the hour. Thank you for joining me. My name is Katy. I am the technical community manager at CircleCI. Basically, that means I have an engineering background. I like hanging out with people and understanding their problems. And so today we're going to just do some exploration. I'm new at CircleCI. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, there's definitely, there can be a steep ramp up anytime you start a new job. So I want to learn all I can about the product, how it works, and what pieces people are the most interested in. And for me, over the past few weeks, I've heard some things about our CLI tool. Now, previously I had used CircleCI in other jobs, but I've never used the command line tool. And I prefer to live in the command line when I can. I really like our UI. I used it on my last stream, but sometimes I can get distracted. There's a lot of like sensory information there, and when you're learning, it can be a lot. So I want to try the command line tool today just to see. I want to do the exact same thing I did in my last stream, which is on the tube. It's on YouTube and probably, I don't think it's on Twitch. I think you have to watch it on YouTube. But the goal here is that I want to replicate exactly what I did with the UI in the command line. Because every time we run things and you rebuild, it costs you some amount of money, right? But if I can run it locally as much as possible and get out a lot of the early mistakes I'm bound to make, then that saves me some credits on my account. If you're on a free version, you have some limits. Everyone's usually looking to cut a few, cut a few pennies here and there, or your coin of choice wherever you live. I was trying to think of other like countries' coins, and then I thought, now's not the time to just start guessing. Either way, I want to reproduce exactly what I could do in the UI in the command line. So let's I'm just on the CircleCI landing page here because I didn't want to be in my email when we started this stream. Okay. So let's just go CircleCI. You can see. Okay, well, that's not it. Oh. And look at all the places I've been. Do I want getting started or using? Let's start with the getting started. So I did some of this before because, again, I didn't want to have to spend a ton of time on stream trying to figure out what was wrong with my local machine, because that's not fun. That's not entertaining viewing. But I did. Oh, so okay. Sorry. This page in particular is like a whole project you can set up, which is not what I did when I set it up. But you can use this guide, which I recommend, to make kind of a project that you can test the command line tool with, which is pretty nice. But let me skip some of the project setup and Git setup, because we're not worried about that right now. I'm just going to imagine that you have a project that you love and it's already set up on Git. La, 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 la. Okay, so basically to install the command line tool on a Unix machine, you will run this curl command. Cool. I don't have a Linux, because if I did, every stream I did would have to be 3 hours, because I do things wrong when I'm in Linux. Unix-based system, I'm in my Mac OS. That's great. So I use Brew, Homebrew, to install it. If you're on a Windows machine, there's a CircleCI package you can use. Very simple, right? Let me pop over here and let me increase the font size. I'm not trying to make anybody struggle here. Make big. Okay. So if I do brew install CircleCI, ooh, is it a dash? Let's give it a go. What will happen? Oh, you know what? That's on me. That's on me. Okay, well, I got the name wrong, so this is +1. Okay, so I'm going to actually go to this other article because, yeah, installation, thanks. Okay, it's just CircleCI. Great news. You know, sometimes you can guess, and sometimes you can be wrong. Like I said, I already installed it, but, you know, cool. So we can see here, I already installed this version. I could upgrade it. You know, why not? Things get better every day. Let's do it. Let's update it. Upgrade it. The last time I ran Brew update, I think I had to wait for a while something more surprising happened. Okay. So here we are. We've installed it. Cool. But now, so I should be able to just run like CircleCI -H, because I think that's like a pretty common flag. Cool. So now I can see, what do I have available? So I can see the config, diagnostics, help, which is where I already am, local, which is what we're going to be doing today, namespaces. I can open the current project. The CLI tool is also, if you're interested in Orbs at all, which are this prepackaged configurations that we offer, then a lot of the work you do on Orbs will be in the command line. But here's the most important one, setup. Because that's what we're doing, because we just started. This is Katy's first command line setup. So CircleCI setup. Now, again, the reason I did some of this beforehand is because I didn't want to have to set my token on live stream, because I don't want to worry about like turning the screens on and off. So I did already set my personal token, but I will show you real quick. Let me say no. And I'm going to leave the host as the default for now. And that's it. as you can see, setup complete, but I am going to show you real quick where you can get your personal token generated. La, 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 la. Let me go. Nope. I think there's a link for it in this article. Yeah. Okay. So there is the personal API token tab. So as you can see in your settings, personal API tokens, you just create a new one and paste it into the setup process. So I'm already using sprinkles here. And like I said, I wanted to set that up ahead of time so I didn't have to like turn on and off the screens, try to hide all my very secret, top secret information. Obviously. So basically we've done the first step in this where we did the setup. And I left the host as the default, which you see here. I will tell you some of the many things I did wrong the first time. I don't think they were like smart mistakes. I think they're just like beginner mistakes. So if you have a lot of experience, you probably won't make these mistakes. But when I ran this the very first time, I essentially tried to set the host to like the local address of my application, and that is not what I wanted. One, my application that we're working here, this project called Remix, it's a Ruby gem, so it's not like a web server that's running on an address on my computer. Maybe it's out there running on an address, but it doesn't like matter. A very experienced and professional engineer suggested to me, why don't you just leave it as a default? Try that. So that's what I did. And it turns out if you just leave it as the default, that's what you want. This is how you can run the tests, run your build process locally. So just leave the host as CircleCI.com. Works perfectly. And then maybe someone who has more information than me can talk about this host. I did try to Now it says here, if you are using the command line interface with CircleCI.com, use the default. But I think the only way I would need to change it is if I was on my own server or private cloud, or if I was like some kind of delightfully secure, air-gapped, top secret spy. But I'm not any of those things. So using the default is totally fine. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is sort of like make sure that CircleCI is set up properly in this project. So I'm just going to show you kind of all the files I got in this project. So you can see here's CircleCI. Here's kind of all the other gem stuff you need, as well as my main code. But we can see that I have CircleCI set up, but what we don't know is whether I have it set up correctly. And one of the things I particularly liked is this tool to run the validation. So, pretty sure it's CircleCI config validate. Look at that. Look at my very valid config. There's not that much in there. Let's go take a look at it. I don't know why I did that. That's okay. We'll just, so you can see there's not much going on in my config file, just because this application isn't like very complicated. If you were on my last stream, you're already very familiar with the boring nature of this application, which is a Ruby gem that takes essentially very specifically formatted data and like makes it real nice into another format, classic. So I wrote this for InfluxDB. if you're someone who uses that. But as you can see, there's not a ton going on here. A couple things to note is that I am using an orb. I'm using the Ruby orb to get this going. Oh, hello, David Mackay. Lovely to see you in the chat. La, la, la. Okay, so as you can see, I really only have one thing to do here, which is to build it and run the tests. So there's basically, it checks the version of the bundler, and then it will run my test suite. So again, not super interesting. If I wanted to, I could mess up the YAML and then run the validation again to, see it fail. But I'm just like not interested in messing up YAML and then not being able to fix it on this live stream. I feel like if I mess it up, that's it for it'll never be valid again. So I don't have that kind of confidence in my YAML ability. But okay, so now you've seen my config file. We know that it's valid. So far things are going great in the command line. La la. Okay, you might want to pack. Again, you've seen sort of the very basic nature of my application. You know that I don't need to do this. However, you, with your big old brain, you might need to. So you might have several files that you want to create a single YAML out of. That's what this pack command is for. And la, 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 la. I don't know why I thought this was like, I was like, no, this is just a nice example. We're just going to keep scrolling. You don't need this. Again, because I don't have multiple files that I need to pack down into one. But you can see examples here. They're all in the docs. Everything's going great so far. I'm just going to keep scrolling because I don't want to do any of that. Okay. Now, one of the things that we need to do is have Docker running on our machines when we want to run it locally. I already had Docker up and running. When I ran this the first time, I didn't read it very carefully, and then it worked, and I was just like, magic. But you do want to make sure that you have Docker running. If I hadn't had it running, it probably would have required me to come back and read this a couple times. But easy enough, right? Most of us have Docker installed. And there are some limitations to what we can do in the command line. So for example, we can really only run a single job. You can't, right now, you can't run an entire workflow. So let's just try, I don't know, what are we waiting for, right? Let's just try to do it. CircleCI local, execute. And I think because, I don't know, let's just try this. I'm not going to even specify. So you can see it's grabbing all the Docker images it needs. It's doing all of the things. It's warning me about bundler. And then this beautiful failure. But this is the failure I know about. This is a test. Look at this. Look at this test. When they say TDD, this is what they mean, people. Originally, I had picked this project to use for these examples because I had imagined that I wrote a really amazing test for it. And it turns out I didn't do that. Or I did it in my mind. It's not immediately clear to me. But regardless, this is the test I have. Every great Ruby gem is published with these kinds of amazing tests attached. But so this is the failure that we expected to see. My job ran, and it ran my test suite, and my test failed because, of course, it did. Now, great, right? I mean, so one thing I want to do, let's just pause real quick. La, la, la. Okay. Sorry, just had to make sure nothing wild was happening while I'm doing this very exciting stream. Okay. So let's talk about some of the things. Here we go. Here's this section, limitations of running jobs locally. Now, again, because I have the simplest project here, I like running a single job, great. But right now, it has some limitations. You can't use the machine executor, and you can't add SSH keys. But these are getting improved every day, right? I mean, like I installed this last night, and then I had to go ahead and update my homebrew recipe keg. I don't remember what they're called. Very specific themes that I am not good at. So the team's making improvements to this all the time. And I think we have a real opportunity for this to be like a really powerful tool. Like a lot of people, like myself, prefer to work in the command line, especially if that's kind of where I'm already working. You know, there's that sort of that like content switching. So if like I'm already working in Vim or my other like code editors, and I'm kind of hopping back and forth as I maybe run my test suite, like I just want to stay here. I might not want to go to the application to test out the builds, right? So I really like staying in the command line for that reason. And I do want to open up the app here so you can see that it didn't run here. So this is the last time I ran my remix project here was 14 days ago, which was the last time I was doing a stream. So it only ran locally. That's just a little bit of proof for you because I know you're scientists. So here are, now, the reason that we don't do workflows right now as part of the CLI is because of the nature of workflows trying to be really efficient about the way they run jobs, right? And for this running local, it just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think for the time being, like that's how it will stay. Now's probably a great time to mention that you can put your questions into the chat and I will see them. And then maybe I'll say them or answer them. I might also just say them and not have an answer, but what I mean is I'll see them. So cool. I know a few developers who were really happy to see this come along and would prefer to use it. So as you can see, like, I mean, there's not like, I didn't have anything complicated planned for today, specifically because I don't think the CLI is complicated. So you can do some very basic things from here, but they're important basic things. They allow you to run locally and not have, not use up credits, not have it fail a bunch of times and cost you resources, all of that, right? So this piece is like pretty easy. I don't like saying things are easy because, well, for me, they almost never are the first time. When I went to install this, realized that I hadn't, again, because I'm new and to CircleCI and I'm like on my work computer, I hadn't like installed a lot of things. I had to go install Homebrew, and then I had to update Xcode, and you know how it goes. But I do want to pop over to this other So you can also do context management from here, which I think is, I don't know, like, again, my project is too simple to need this, but the better of a CircleCI user you are, the more of this you're going to need. But I do want to talk about Orbs for a minute since we're here. Just to pop through here, let me, look at how these are the same. Okay, this isn't what I want. Sorry, shouldn't have. Now's the time. I know what I want to find. I'm going to go onto our community site because I know where it is there. And if you haven't been to our community site, highly recommend. Orb pack. Is there a hyphen? Orb pack. Okay. You know what? Let's just put a space in. We'll just see what we can find. Here it is. So the CLI is like, obviously this is like a really great way to run your tests locally, save yourself a little bit of trouble, right? Great. But having a CLI means you have this incredibly powerful command line tool where there's so much more like possibility. And we use it for Orb development because it's a developer tool and it just makes a lot more sense. So we talked a little bit about config pack, which I didn't need because I only have a single YAML file. I don't have anything to combine. But this new Orb pack allows you to pack external scripts, and we're looking for people to help us in beta. So if this sounds like you and you just love the idea of beta using and having your feedback really heard, this is like a very helpful thing. I think that we're working on, in particular, see, you can see a little convo happening here between our developers and some people who are in the program. But we really want to raise some awareness around Orbs because they are really powerful, especially if you're not like, again, like a pre-packaged config is just like helpful. I'm using it in mine. Okay, there are a couple more things I wanted to cover. I get a little distracted because it's just like, it's so exciting sometimes. But let me, it's here, validate the config. So this is really what I was talking about as far as testing locally before you push to any other expensive, I'm going to use air quotes, expensive, whether that's money or resources or time. Especially if you have some job that's like really sticking in your craw. If it's bothering you and it's problematic, then like this is a great way to like better diagnose like what's happening there. And this is a really good example to follow too, because it uses another one of our convenience images. So this is using a specific Ruby image. This is a nice little hello world, but I find no matter how familiar I am with the tool, doing the hello world examples never hurts me. Okay, so there's one thing that I still had to do from the UI, which is I already had set this up ahead of time, but the one thing that we can't do right now in the command line that we have to go back to our application for is to add the project. So if I go here, boop, 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 boop. So I'm already following this one, but basically this setup, this follow, has to happen in the UI still. So something to keep in mind is to make sure that it's connected to Circle, and that happens here still. And maybe, look, I don't have any information. I was going to say maybe it would happen in the command line. I don't have that information. I don't know what that means. This is how it is. Don't, please, no questions. Just kidding. You can ask questions, but maybe about something else. But anytime, questions are welcome in the chat. So that is one thing I wanted to point out. Connecting your repo to CircleCI still has to happen in our real cool crackerjack UI. So here's a little summary of the CircleCI CLI, which is creating, viewing, validating, and publishing orbs. So like I talked about, this is where all the delicious orb action happens, because we really want to push people to utilize these like really convenient prepackaged configs. There are many that already exist. I encourage you to go to our orb registry and see if like one of them can make your life easier. I use Ruby one. I've tried out the Node one, and there's so many more that are not just language specific, but even more. You can also query the API from the command line, and then we can do this packing of the complex files. I wonder if this link takes me to, it takes me to the other page I really like. This is great. I do want to talk about running your jobs in containers, because obviously I have Docker running. I'm pulling images down. I'm running them there. I think that I don't know what the status of Docker plus Windows these days. It used to be a lot of trouble. No, I'll have to ask our Windows community. If you're a Windows user, you can pop into the chat and tell me what the state of things is, because I think it's easy to forget, we have our own systems, right? I'm most comfortable in a Unix-based system. I haven't used Windows, any Windows operating systems for many years. So when I go over to them, I feel like a newborn giraffe, just kind of tripping over myself. And we do have a lot of Windows users, people running Circle on Windows servers, etc. So it's really nice to have some different point of views to make sure that we understand how it's working. Angel has told me that Docker Windows support is better than it used to be. Now, that could mean anything from it is good to, well, at least it's not Vista, but that's okay. I think that is excellent. So that means that a lot of our Windows users can hopefully still have the option to do this. Here's the other piece that I want to cover, which is environment variables. So if you have configured your environment variables in the UI, here they are, they're not going to be imported into your local build. I think like, that makes sense to me. I had to put in my personal token. It didn't bother me that much. It bothered me a little, but not because I had to do it, just because it was like one more thing to do. But it totally makes sense. I'm not mad that that's the way the world works. I am just fundamentally, I like to be doing one less thing than I am at any given point. But we can also specify environment variables with this flag, right? See the output. Ooh, let's do that. CircleCI help build. I haven't run that one. I've just done help. What is this? Run a job in a container on the local machine. Usage, circle build, flags. Look at all these. I like that. One thing I didn't realize, because again, this is baby's first CircleCI CLI, is that there's kind of submenus for help, which is nice, because this is more specific to what we're talking about right now. So I kind of just want to look through here real quick. The global flags are always there. So I could, rename the host or change the token at any given point. Just checking. I don't know. Sometimes I just like to type things. CircleCI build, and then what happens? Nothing. Oh, I did it wrong. I warned everyone there would be typos, and there are. So I'm kind of Nostradamus on that front. Okay. I think I have to actually specify the branch name, which is fine. That makes sense to me. Yeah, okay. So that was a nice way to specify. I only have Circle configured on one branch in this, again, little baby project, but I find it very helpful at any given point to be real specific about what I'm telling it to build. Oh, it's fun for me. I hope you. That's just what I wanted to see. Get checkout key. And then you can specify a particular config file too. I'm into this. This does all the things I would expect a command line tool to do, plus a little bit more because I didn't know about it. You can also change this number of parallel nodes. When I'm running locally, I'm just going to leave it at 1, but you do you, And if you think you can run many, many parallel nodes, I would like to hear about it. So this is really, like I said, this is an exploration stream. I was able to accomplish exactly what I did a few weeks ago in a pretty quick manner. I mean, I could actually get them to pass. I'll do that at the end. I'll do that in a few minutes. Towards the end, I'll actually make the test pass. You can also do some more advanced features. For example, test splitting. I'm clicking this. Hold on. I have never looked at this before. What are we looking at? Oh, I see. So you could, this is cool. Again, baby project over here doesn't need it, but you could split your test across machines when you are increasing the number of parallel jobs. So cool. That's it. That's all I have to say, but I don't really have anything else to add. I would be really interested if you're doing that to just like get your feedback and see how you feel about it. I think it's a cool feature, but again, I don't need it. Here, I wonder if this is, let me go back to the top. All right, well, this isn't what I wanted, but this is a really important piece of what I wanted to cover today, which is that this CLI tool is open source. And we just want to make it as helpful as possible. And also we were trying to, we want to be a bigger part of open source in that way. And wherever we can, we're looking for opportunities to do that. So if you're using the CLI and you're thinking, no, this is bonkers, this is not what I want, well, great news. There's like a repo where you can go see what's up, make PRs, all the things. We want and need your help with these initiatives, especially if you're doing something that's, I don't want to say not prioritized, but a lot of times we're doing things that really matter to us that don't matter so much to other, like the company or, a lot of other developers, but we have really specific use cases. And sometimes if you make a change for that, then it helps somebody else a lot way down the line. So open source is important. I really like it. And I think, especially when it comes to Orbs, all of the work we do around Orbs is open source. So it's important that the tool that we use to create them, publish them, is also open source. And I think that's nice. I know we still have plenty of time left. I'm not going anywhere. Even if I run out of material. I mean, I'm never out of material because I'm very fun. But I am going to go change my tests and get them to pass. Angel says, until we have private orbs coming to an isolation point near you. We get a lot of people asking us about private orbs. Comes up a lot, and sometimes people are sad that we don't offer private orbs. And some of us are sad about it too. It's a thought that the community is having that we are also having. I have no official message from the company on it. I just think, yeah, that'd be nice. So that's not what you want to hear. All right, I'm going to fix my tests. I don't remember why I ran that ls command, but that's fine. I don't know why. I'm just going to pop in here, go into spec. Now, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I'm pretty sure I can make this test pass. And I did it in Vim, so I would like everyone to just appreciate that I'm an elite hacker. So let's run it again, Okay, well, that's clearly not what I wanted. I guess I can, because I was so excited about being able to specify the branch, I'm going to use that build command. Again, if I had a real project that was being worked on, different branches with different versions of the code base, then this would be super helpful. As it is, it's just bringing me personal joy, which I find is the most important part of my day. And you know what? Even if it's an easy win, I still like things that pass. I want it to tell me I'm a personal success, and it has. Great news. Personally, professionally, spiritually, I'm a success. Thank you, a CircleCI build, for telling me that. Props for Vim, says Matt, thank you. Even though I will always use Nano. I didn't even know Nano existed for a while until it was one of the ones, I think it's the same way people view Vim. I just was like accidentally in Nano one day and I was like, what am I? What's happening? But I've heard good things. And since I discovered it, I do like it. I'm mostly interested in keyboard shortcuts above all. Like I don't want to say I don't care about editors, but I'm mostly interested in keyboard shortcuts. And once you have that muscle memory built, regardless of whether you're like Nano or Vim or Emacs or whatever. Pico, says Angel. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up. Once you have the muscle memory built in your hands, you're like, oh, I shan't be learning another because it's already there. My body already knows where the keys are. I do feel like a success. And as you can see, this test does something useful, as do I. I do want to. I thought there was a link in this overview for the CLI repo. Let's go back. You know what? I don't know why I'm hitting back. Let's just do CLI. I want to look for the repo itself. I mean, I guess I could show you a little bit of Orbs. So I did click on this accidentally earlier, and I was like, this isn't what I want. You remember. But this is a good place for, after all this talk today, if you're like, I could do with some prepackaged configurations myself. This is a good place to go. This is where you can get started using Orbs, understanding them, and just generally becoming, the super user of your dreams. So this is a great place to start. It's not what I was looking for, but I'm glad that we were here now. Okay, just gonna look on GitHub. Okay, well, this one has a link. This is the old one, but here's the link to the new one. I did it. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show the project here. As you can see, there's a lot of open pull requests, a lot of issues. That's great. What it tells me is that we have a lot of contributors, right? Look how many we have. 40, great number. It could be 41 with you. If there's something you want to see, if there's problems you come across, like absolutely, we want you to be part of this project. We like you. I also, let's see, it's in Go. Things are in Go now. That's fine. I don't have anything against Go. I'm just bad at writing it. But yeah, I just did want to show off. Let's see what some of the issues look like. Right, there's some bugs. There's some features. Ooh, this is what we were talking about. I feel I am Nostradamus. I am. The ability to set up a new project from the CLI, because right now you have to go into the UI to set up your project. I like where this person's head is at. Pixel Elastic. I like it because they think a little bit like me, and I think it's a really nice feature. Sorry, not helpful. It's not really relevant to the stream, but what is relevant? So as you can see, there's like lots of options for. There's a good first issue here if you're a Windows user and you want to get started. I just wanted to show you some of the kinds of issues that are here, because we have contributing guidelines, as most open source projects do. You can go read them and get to know some of our pretty cool developers. Oh, I'm at the old one. And if it's been a while, like if you find that you're like, oh yeah, I think I used that one time and it was years ago, time to update. Don't use this bad boy anymore. So I was like, still have this just tab to the, it's fine. One other thing I wanted to do is I'm gonna pop over to the community site again. Did I tell you how great it is to have an active community who ask and answer each other's questions? It's really nice. You should do it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna. I wanted to. Okay. The search on this site is maybe not exactly what I'm looking for. Well, you know what? It's good enough. And you can see like the dates on these. Like this isn't necessarily like where you want to come if you want like the most up to date. But if you want to learn about like common issues or you have questions, this is from February. It's not that long ago, right? This person kind of posted their question. We recognize this command. We did it so many times today. And then, you know, they found this open bug. Great. I think the point I'm trying to make here is that if you have a question about how the CLI works, then probably somebody else had it too. And even if you find, let's say, an old question and you, I don't know why I left. Let's go back to this one. Let's say that you had the same issue as this user and you said, oh, well, there's no reply. I mean, there is, but imagine that there wasn't. You could feel free to reply here and like update it and say like, hey, I still have this question. This is still a problem. This bug hasn't been fixed, etc. That's what we want to hear. We do a lot of product feedback through this community site. I'm on there a lot, so you can get like more of this. And a lot of our engineers and support engineers are on there. So I'm here to make sure that you all have the resources you need to be successful, especially when it comes to the CLI, because that's what we're focusing on today. I don't know if I have that much else to cover. I'll be taking questions. That's obviously what I saved this last 10 minutes for. I'm just going to do the regular help, and then I'm going to figure out what I need. Sometimes when I don't know what something is, I'll just try it, you know? And I think that's a dangerous, sometimes it's real good, and sometimes people are like, Katy, why didn't you slow down? And I don't have a good answer for that. I like to destroy. CircleCI. I want to run the diagnostic because I don't know what it means. Oh, hey, it's fine. Well, great news. Now I know what it means. So if at any point I think it's not like running appropriately, it is testing my host, the endpoint, and my token to make sure everything is set up good. And that actually would have been really helpful for me last night when I was doing this, because I mentioned in the beginning that I put the host in incorrectly multiple times because I had just assumed that, like, let's say I had like a web app running on port 4000. Like, I guess I just had it in my head that like that's the host I would want to put in here, which is not true because it is an API host. It's not like an application host. I was just a little bit wrong about the host. I wonder if there's any of these. I just particularly like being able to, be in the command line, especially as someone who, I don't want to say that like I don't use UIs or don't appreciate them, because obviously I do. I do use them a lot, and I definitely appreciate them when they are like good, and when they're not good, that's important too. But I do, if there's a command line tool, that is where I tend to hang out, so that I don't have to look for buttons that I can't find. I don't know if you've ever been pair programming, like in person with someone who's pointing at your screen saying it's right there. I'm the person who will never find it. I'm like, you better just take the mouse, take the wheel, because like I don't know. It's probably just specific to me, but sometimes I struggle to find things on pages that are too busy. But this is a redesign that we recently have been rolling out from Circle. This is a redesign of our UI, and I really like it. I haven't struggled to find any buttons. There's not that many. And for me, that's always a good thing. Hello, Achieve Mindset. I'm assuming that's a pseudonym. But we're also still really interested in feedback, like in the same way that we want your feedback about the CLI, we want it about the UI. Like I want people to have like two fantastic options. And I'm really into that issue we saw about being able to start projects from the command line. I don't think I'm anything else to cover. I'm just enjoying being with you all. And I would love to see you in the community. I'd love to see you on Twitter. You can always find the company account there. You can find me there. You can find a lot of my friends. Oh, Matt says didn't like the redesign at first, but gave it about 2 weeks and can't go back. Nice. I understand. It's very hard to go to a new look and feel, especially when it's like, yeah, I hear you, Matt. I definitely I've only really extensively used the new UI, this version that we're looking at. And so that's like good news for me because I didn't have to adjust. But I think, it's really important to realize there's definitely an adjustment period, right? And something that we specifically got feedback on that we added is this little cancel button. This cancel workflow wasn't there before. When I ran these tests 2 weeks ago, neither of these buttons were there. Things crashing at 5 p.m., design changes. Yeah. I hear you, Matt. You're like, oh no, I just need to know why it failed. And it's like, do you want to experience this like new button? And you're like, not right now. I hear you. We wanted definitely to give people time to adjust and improve it as we go, right? So like these buttons were here 2 weeks ago when I was running this, and now they are. This cancel button is actually something that like someone specifically pointed out, like, why can't I cancel this from right here? And now it's here because they were right. And it's good. Yeah, Matt, you tried it out on your side projects. That's a good place. That's a really good idea. Like, kind of try the new pieces of it on things that are less vital. And that way you can get used to it and then adjust so you don't have to panic. That's definitely, I think we want to kind of apply the same mindset to the CLI tool. Right now, I think what it does great, but we need people with more complex projects, right? We need you using it on your side projects so that you can then use it at work so that we can make this tool just like the best. I really personally just appreciate a fantastic CLI tool because a lot of us just prefer to be in our terminal. So I just showed you a baby's first command line interface with CircleCI, and I hope you'll try it too. I have no doubt that you can do interesting and new things with it. And that means that you will be successful, and maybe you'll also find new ways to break it. We're interested in all of it. I hope this was helpful. I want you all to stay safe and wash your hands and wear a mask. And above all, just be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and I will see you on the internet.